All right. I hope you're wrapping up your conversation with your partner. And before you head back to your seats, I'm going to channel my inner preschool teacher and go, shh. It's surprising how well it works with kids and adults. All right. Impromptu networking is about speed connecting. So now I invite you to find another person on another table and share your story. You could delve into your story deeper, change it a little bit, but the point is to share your story. One more round. All right, let's wrap up that one conversation. And I know it's going to be hard. And we're going to do one more round. Find someone that you don't know and share with them an experience of having fasted or abstained from something. One more round, 4 minutes. Move across the room. I see a lot of people moving. 4 minutes, one last round. Introduce yourself and share your experience of fasting or abstaining from something in your life. All right. I welcome you to now find your seat and settle in. Thank you, everyone, for sharing of yourself. I know this can be a particularly hard activity for the introverted in the room. So a deep thank you to the introverts in the room that spoke with 3 other people for 5 minutes each. We, in our faith as Muslims, start every activity with the name of God. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most kind. And at all gatherings, we try to start with a recitation from the Quran. And I'm honored this evening to invite to the stage Muhammad Rayan, who is 10 years old, to read 2 verses of the Quran. And just as a side note, you're going to see me gesturing a lot, and that's because we are right now in about the 90s as far as technology is concerned. So I'm going to signal to a person at the door who's going to signal to the other person at the other door to make sure we go to the next slide. So if you see me signaling, that's what we're doing. All right, Muhammad, come on up. Muhammad Rehan, 10 years old, to recite from Surah Hujurat.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'll be reciting verses 6 and 13 from chapter 26 of the Holy Quran. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا إن جاءكم فاسق بنبأ فتبينوا أن تصيبوا قوما بجهالة فتصبحوا على ما فعلتم نادمين يا أيها الناس إنا خلقناكم من ذكر وأنثى وجعلناكم شعوبا وقبائل لتعارفوا إن أكرمكم عند الله أتقاكم إن الله عليم خبير صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you so much. Jazakallah khair. May Allah reward you, Muhammad Rehan. I invite onto stage Malak Atwa, who's going to read the recitation, the translation of the recitation. Thank you, Malak.
O you who have believed, if there comes to you a disobedient one with information, investigate, lest you harm a people out of ignorance and become, over what you have done, regretful. O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes, that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the most righteous of you. Indeed, Allah is knowing and acquainted.
Thank you so much, Malak. The reason that we chose the 2 ayahs that we did, and in reflecting on the theme for this evening, which is fostering peace, compassion, and understanding, I want to actually go back to that ayah. Brother, could you go back 1 slide? These 2 verses from the Quran, as you have heard and read, if you're visual, talk about an individual. Oops, we can go back. Thank you for your patience as we deal with some of our tech challenges today. Our theme for today is United in Humanity. And one of the reasons that we chose this theme today is since October, incidences of anti-Muslim and anti-Arab hate have grown by 400% in the state of Washington, according to CARE Washington. And one thing that we noticed is that oftentimes many individuals do not know much about Muslims. They don't know much about who we are. And as you can see from the initial ayah, the early verse that we chose, that if something comes to you with information, investigate, lest you harm a people out of ignorance. And a few verses later, it says, O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. You'll notice everything about this evening is about unity and diversity so that we can move towards compassion, peace, and understanding. And if we can go to the next 2 slides, brother. If we can go to the next 2 slides, please. Our 3 goals of why we are here today is to understand and learn and gain insights into the significance of Ramadan for Muslims and about Muslims in the United States and in the world, to build compassion and build bridges of understanding through cultural exchange and connection, and for peace, to embrace the diversity that strengthens our community. Next slide, please. A note of our theme: at every table, you'll notice a different flag of a different country. You'll also notice a small gift for you. Our team that has put this together put a lot of thought into the representation of Muslims all around the world. And I see people already opening their bags, which is great. You can't eat them because they're coffee beans, so you would have to roast them in order to really experience them. And I'm going to quickly explain to you what we're going to do for this evening as we move forward. Are we good with the next slides, brother? Okay. On our theme of connection, the reason that we have given a pouch of coffee beans is that, okay, wait, here we go. How are we going to achieve the different goals for today? We are now at the welcome and agenda part. I'm going to quickly share an overview of this evening, followed by some opening remarks by MAPS leadership and the King County leadership. We are not going to do the video today because our technology is not working, and we'll use that as an opportunity to connect with one another. We then have our fantastic keynote speaker, Dr. Chaplain Joshua Salam, who's here from the East Coast, followed by a short introduction of how Muslims will open their fast and pray. And that's going to happen. You see the yellow or the highlighted. Our whole evening is centered around the fact that the call to prayer is at 7:18 p.m. today. That is a time that we will be opening our fasts with dates and water. And then you'll notice a lot of Muslims getting up and going to the prayer hall. And you are invited to observe, and we'll give you a little bit of an introduction about that right after the keynote. During dinner, you'll have an opportunity to connect with others on your table, and as we started with an opening prayer, we will also end with a closing prayer by our Imam leading us at MAPS, Imam Adam Jamal. If I can have us go to the next slide, please. And while they do that, a quick note, housekeeping, the bathrooms are in the hallway. You have a table captain at each table, so if you have any questions for the rest of the evening, please feel free to ask them. Table captains, please raise your hand so people can identify who is the person to ask questions of. There you go. All right, quick note on our theme of connection. The reason you have coffee bags at your table or a gift of coffee beans at your table is that coffee was thought to have been discovered by an Ethiopian shepherd. Sheep would graze in a particular area and become energized. So he took some of the leaves and he consumed them. Trade began between the Ethiopians and the Yemenis, and there's evidence of Yemenis roasting and drinking coffee in the 1400s. It rose in popularity amongst Muslims, especially who would consume coffee to stay up at night to pray, We have a prayer called the Tahajjud prayer. It's a voluntary prayer. And the first coffee house is said to have been opened in 1555 in Istanbul. There's a story of coffee in your bag, in your pouch, and you're invited to take home the beans. There's instructions on how to roast them and consume them. We are in a city that is known worldwide for coffee, and we wanted to share that experience with you as a point of connection. Next slide, please. A quick note on our theme of diversity. If you can go back one slide. This feels very interesting to be doing. So, Muslims are in almost every country in the world, approaching close to 2 billion in 2024. A note on Muslims in America, representation for almost all countries in the world, and close to more than 1/5 of the Muslim population are Black Americans. In fact, enslaved people were thought to have brought over Islam from Africa when they first came. My dad was actually the researcher on the Pew report in 2009. He was a head researcher, and he actually estimates that the official estimates of Muslims in the United States is now over 7 million. A note about today. Today's tables reflect countries with large or significant Muslim populations, including the United States. And at MAPS, we have more than 50 different countries represented with over 100 languages spoken amongst community members. So that's just a note on the diversity of what you see in the room and amongst the Muslims in Washington State and the United States. If I can have you go to the next slide, please. Thank you. All right, once again, please ask your table captains and feel free to observe in prayer. And we will share those instructions. Just a note that we pray without our shoes on, and we pray with the men on this side of the room and the women on that side of the room, if you would like to observe. Next slide, please. Let's go to the next slide. I want to note at this point that I'm really, really excited to see multiple community partners that we have in the room today. So these couple of slides as we go through is just to show the representation in the room. A little bit about myself, by the way, Sarah Kareem. I work as a facilitator and as a consultant, and I am part of the Mercer Island School District and community. I'm a PTA president of our elementary school. I serve on the Superintendent Equity Council, and I'm so honored to be in community with all of you today that are representing multiple ways in how you give back to your community. If we can go through the next couple of slides, please. So we have partners here today from county and state representatives, King County, Washington State Senate, and the Washington State. Next, please. Thank you. On a federal level as well. We have city government representation from the city of Redmond, SeaTac, Bellevue, Bothell, city of Seattle, and city of Sammamish. We have representation here this evening from law enforcement, the Bellevue Police, Bothell Police, Redmond Police, and Kirkland Police. And we have representation from our school districts, like Washington School District, Issaquah School District, Bellevue School District, Malkatiya School District, Riverview School District, North Shore School District, Snoqualmie Valley School District, and many, many different interfaith leaders and community members. A big thank you to all of you for coming this evening. Can we have a round of applause, please? I would now like to introduce Brother Nasser Vakil, who is the board president of MAPS. Thank you, Brother Nasser.
Thank you. First, a good news. I decided not to bring my 50 slides today. Imagine, you can relax. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So first of all, on behalf of MAPS, I extend a very warm welcome and greeting of peace to all of you. Assalamu alaikum. This is such a special month for Muslims. And speaking of the theme of connection, And just starting off with the verse in the Holy Quran when God decreed first time fasting on Muslims and Prophet Muhammad and his nation. He started off saying that, "O you who believe, we have prescribed upon you fasting as it was decreed upon nations before." So this act of fasting, first of all, and Ramadan is at multiple level of connection. First of all, you are connecting with the God. And it's more of a personal spiritual journey to begin with. But interestingly, God, when gave the order, he connected 1.7 billion Muslims who are fasting in the world to the previous nations, to Prophet Jesus, Prophet Moses, and all other prophets, peace be upon them all. So it kind of, Ramadan is sort of worship transcends the time. And then at the connection is at the community, at the family level, every night. If it doesn't, it may not happen outside Ramadan, but Muslim families make it a point to all to sit together, eat together. At MAPS also, we do open the fast. It's called Iftar, an evening meal, which we'll have here today. That is open for 30 days. And people come, and on weekends we have community iftar and lot more families and all come, right? But Ramadan is not just a connection. It's a very strong, message of connection. But also, God also says that why? What is the purpose of fasting? That and in the same verse goes, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, that you achieve God consciousness. You achieve self-restraint. You achieve the root word of taqwa. Qawa comes from to be like to refrain from things, to shield, to protect, right? So in all, it's a message, and it's a lesson for all of us to, while we go through the entire month of fasting from food and drink and all the relations and all, but more so, it's more about like how do we achieve that God consciousness? How do we become the best of ourselves in the sight of God? So that's on the connection. MAPS has been a growing. This is our 18th year, 18th Ramadan. And we have not missed, only aside COVID time, we did not miss the Interfaith Iftar. We have been having it for the starting from 2007. So it's a marquee event for us. And we really want to thank you all, especially in this kind of weather, beautiful weather. You took the time to come here. It means a lot to us. So I will also make a call to action. That, today, inshallah, I invite all of you to find a Muslim friend, and that relationship, that connection should not end today. Rather, it's a beginning of a connection. So Muslims also should open up their own homes, invite you all, have a connection, an ongoing, deeper connection, so we can learn from each other and celebrate. Thank you so much. And now I would love to introduce our partner, our friend, King Council member Sarah Perry, and she has a beautiful news to share with us all. Sarah.
Well, this is a beautiful sight. Look at this. I love coming to MAPS. I've been coming for a few years now, and I always feel very welcome. And I feel that MAPS gives a great example of how to live your faith out loud. I think we can all learn. Some of that we saw recently. Some of you might have seen information in the Seattle Times and elsewhere of an incredible gift from MAPS to recently arrived Venezuelan and Algonian refugees. They wanted to make sure they were okay, and they just came together and did it. They're really quite remarkable, and it's such an honor to be here. So I need to put this down here. Whoops. Just to give an option of non-technical difficulties there. Thank you. Thank you. So, as he mentioned, I'm Sarah Perry, King County Council for District 3. My district is East Lake Sammamish to Snoqualmie Pass and I-90 to Highway 2. And we have 10 cities and 2 townships. King County is 2.3 million people. There are 9 King County Council members. I think I have one of my colleagues here today. Jorge, are you in the room? Or there he is. Yes, he's also King County Council member, Jorge Barón. And I don't know if Claudia Balducci is here, but Claudia Balducci is the council member that represents the Muslim Association of Puget Sound area for Bellevue, Kirkland, and part of Redmond. And together we're very focused on making sure that we are honoring and understanding all of the voices of the people that we serve. And again, the Muslim community has been just a remarkable partner in engaging on many levels. I've had the good fortune of knowing many of the leaders here over time, and in fact, Osman Saluddin, who is here, is working in our office as well. And I was very glad to hear that we have a PTA representative and that people really step into communities and boards and show up as Muslims. It's so important to be present wherever we are together, that all voices and perspectives are heard and normalized and relationships made. And when Osman showed up in our work, in our community together, he brought his whole self with him. And he started asking questions. Could we have a recognition for this? Do you think it's possible that we also have a recognition for that has to do with the Muslim community? I said yes, but I wouldn't have thought of it. He brought himself to the table. He showed up with his faith, and it makes a big difference. It has mattered to our King County Council to have these voices. So today, I'm honored to be able to share a recognition today with you about Eid al-Fitr. So, according to Pew Research, which might have been from our host father, I don't know, Islam is the second largest faith tradition worldwide, currently including more than 3 million followers of this faith tradition in the United States itself. King County is home to one of the most racially and ethnically diverse American Muslim communities, consisting of a combination of immigrants and second and third generation Black, African American, Arab, Asian, Latino, Middle Eastern, and European Muslims, along with those tracing their roots to the founding of our nation. And whereas in King County, we understand that our strength is in our diversity, as we recognize and celebrate the Christian holiday of Christmas and the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah, and whereas American Muslims celebrate the holiday of Eid al-Fitr, which is the festival of breaking the fast at the conclusion of Ramadan, which this year falls on April 10th, 2024, and is a joyous occasion marked by sharing sweets, gifts, and good tidings with family, friends, and neighbors. And whereas Ramadan is a month-long holiday held in the 9th month of the Islamic lunar calendar, which this year will be held from March 10th, 2024 until April 9th, 2024, when healthy adult Muslims abstain from food and drink from dawn to dusk to connect more meaningfully with their faith and practice empathy for those suffering the most. And whereas the month of Ramadan also marks a time when American Muslims contribute greatly to charities and to the needs of the broader community, helping thousands annually from all faiths and no faith by providing food to the hungry, drink to the thirsty, medical assistance, legal aid, family services, refugee assistance, and more. And whereas American Muslims in King County contribute to our economic vitality as small and large business owners, service workers, teachers, doctors, nurses, engineers, artists, farmers, attorneys, elected officials, union workers, homemakers, and more. And whereas many American Muslims struggle with the fact that Ramadan and Eid al-Fitr are not recognized as federal public holidays yet in the United States, and therefore have to take time off from school or their jobs, leading to disruptions in education and work, or not be able to properly celebrate these major religious holidays. And whereas King County recognizes that tens of thousands of King County residents, as well as hundreds of King County employees following the Islamic faith, observe Ramadan and the important Islamic holiday of Eid al-Fitr. Now, therefore, we, the Metropolitan King County Council, recognize April 10th, 2024 as Eid al-Fitr and acknowledge this practice of faith by thousands of Muslims in the county, millions across the country, and billions across the world, while recognizing and cherishing the religious freedom in our country to celebrate and practice however we choose. Dated this 12th day of March, 2024, signed by all 9 King County Council members. Thank you. It's an honor to present this. And now I have the honor of introducing Hend Al-Hinawi, who's a Syrian American who was raised in a vibrant Muslim community in Los Angeles and has been in Washington State for the past 5 years. She lives in Kirkland with her husband Taha and their 2 children. As the Outreach and Advocacy Secretary at MAPS, she's looking forward to working with the community on issues that matter to them, and is also deeply engaged in the Interfaith Committee here at MAPS. Please join me in welcoming Hend.
Thank you, Councilmember Sarah, for the wonderful, wonderful start to this event. The Eid recognition is a testament of what happens when people come together. And so my name is Hend Al-Hinawi. I am the Outreach and Advocacy Chair at MAPS. And I want to first of all welcome you into our home. It's lovely to see all your faces. I have some exciting news to share, but I'm going to wait. I'm going to start by asking the elected officials to stand so we can recognize you. So please stand if you're an elected official. Thank you. Thank you for your commitment and your friendship to our community. Now, this event is a huge event, and I want to take a moment to recognize the IOC team that is behind putting together this event, the leadership and your table captains. Please stand up so you can be recognized as well. Jamal, I see you. Thank you for all the work you did to make this event happen. Now, I want to say that on the first day of Ramadan, 5,000 people walked through these doors between Fajr and Taraweeh. Our community is strong, it's thriving, and it's here to engage. So what's my good news? Anybody have a guess? I'm already married, I have kids. This year, and for the first time ever in Washington State, a cultural recognition of Ramadan happened to the tune of an 8-foot crescent in Marina Park in downtown Kirkland. And to the Syrian American that grew up in Los Angeles, wishing that there were some kind of symbols in my city that would recognize the traditions and the religion that I love so much, this is a huge milestone. And I want to thank the city of Kirkland for being a partner and really helping us see this through. Now, I want to also invite the city of Bellevue and Bothell and Sammamish to engage as well. Be a trailblazer in inclusivity. Be a cheerleader for your Muslim brothers and sisters. You won't regret it. I promise you won't regret it. To the school administrators, I know we have, and if you can actually, if you're with a school or a school district, please stand and be recognized. You are our partners. Our students are in your classrooms. Our students are in your classrooms, and we want to be a partner to you. We offer training on mosque visits, Islamophobia. You want us to come to you, we'll come to you. You want to come to us, you're more than welcome. My message is we're here, we'd like to engage, and if you've been to MAPS, wonderful, continue coming. If you haven't, get to know us. You won't regret it. And, oh, this is it. Isn't she a beauty? I'm really excited to get to know all of you as the evening goes, and I'm going to pass it back to Sarah. Thank you so much.
Can you go one more? Thank you so much, Hind. We are going to skip our video session for this evening and adapt, as what we have to do. You've been hearing a lot of us talk, and those are some wonderful comments and remarks. Thank you so much, Brother Nasser, Sarah Perry, and Hind. I really appreciate it. Part of our goal for today was to also have an opportunity to connect and learn. And there's a lot of wisdom in the room. There are so many community members that participate and show up in so many different ways. I'm going to adapt my question. There was going to be a reflection opportunity after the video. And here's my question to you. We're going to use a structure, a facilitation structure called 1, 2, 4, all. I'm going to invite you to take a minute and think about the fact that you're in the room today. You are here because you're curious. You're here because you want to learn. You're here because you want to engage. And my question to you is, Hind, you brought up the word of connecting, and there was another word that you had embedded that came to my mind that I wanted to lean into, which is as we talk about collaboration with our community members, can you think of one way that you would like to partner with an individual or a community Muslim organization? So 1 minute for you to think about an individual Muslim that you may know or an organization that you may know. It could be MAPS, it could be another organization that you want to connect. And for the Muslims in the room, I invite you to think about who in the room you would like to partner with. An individual in the room or a partner in the room. We don't often get the opportunity to collectively but quietly reflect, and here is the space to do so. I'm actually going to put my timer on for a minute. And I hear murmurs. This is not the opportunity to connect yet. All right. I invite you to turn to a partner on your table. Turn to somebody at your table and share your idea. You have 4 minutes. All right. The next part of 1, 2, for all is to merge your pair with another pair on your table. So you're going to be a foursome of 4 and share your ideas. All right? So merge with another pair at your table. If it's easier, you can turn your back and turn to the other table. But you want to be in a group of 4 and share your ideas. All right. And now to our last part of the 1, 2, 4 all is popcorn style to share some of the ideas. So raise your hand if you'd like to share an insight or an idea that came up for a partnership or an action that you would like to take in partnering with an individual, Muslim, or an organization. Raise your hands and I'll start walking all over to you. Yes, Nada.
Should I stand up? Thank you, Sarah. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I'm so honored to be in your presence. So I'm part of the Issaquah School District, and we've got district admins from here. Thank you all for showing up. One idea that we have is we just actually got some funding approved through the legislator for authoring curriculum material on Islamophobia, and we will be partnering. So excited, so excited. It's little, but it's a step in the right direction. I am so excited and honored to be hopefully meeting soon with our director of diversity and also the director of instruction, just to pick their brains on ideas of what they think would be appropriate materials that we could work on with a nonprofit organization to author the material and then hopefully partner with all the school districts next year to disseminate and use that as a resource for teachers.
Thank you, Nada. Anna.
Hi. Okay, very loud. In this loneliest epidemic which we find ourselves in, I think what many people are searching for is connection, and I think religious community is a great way to find connection in a non-judgmental space where you don't have to pay money to have friends, have good food, things like that. So I think it would be really great to get together with people from all different religions and just go to a park, offer people free coffee and cookies and a chance to talk about religion or also just about life, help people be a little bit less lonely, help people be a little bit more connected, and a little bit more understanding of people that are different from themselves.
Thank you, Anna. Any other comments? What bubbled up in your groups? Yes, I'm going to walk right over to hand you the mic.
Okay, I have a really loud voice already, so is this okay? Yeah, louder? I'm Kimberly Knaus, and I am with the Boy Scouts of America, or the Chief Seattle Council, really. I work for the council. And we already have been introduced, but one of the ideas I have is my best friend is with a quite large synagogue that I have gone to something like this. They're also, coming into their own with diversity and kind of being the leaders on that. And I thought it'd be neat to get some of those together. And we may have Jewish scouts. They not so much usually. I mean, they come in for a little bit and then they leave. But they're definitely community and a way to connect with Seattle as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I'm going to take 2 more comments. I'm going to give you the mic. Thank you so much.
Hi, Regina with Bellevue Rotary. We have great leadership from Jamal helping us. My colleague here does many things for us. We are service above self, and we do something at Lucky Strike Bowling. And he said, what about?
I've got a lot on my plate, but having a inter-community bowling between Rotarians and members of the Islamic community.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for the Bellevue Rotary Club. I'll take one last comment.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, 2 more comments. Yes.
I'm Dr. Eric Rasmussen, and I recently returned from Lahore, Pakistan. Note my beautiful shalwar kameez, thank you. And while there, we had an opportunity to meet with a number of business people who are working on sustainability. The Ravi River in Lahore is profoundly compromised. There are organizations in the world that know how to improve the health of rivers, recover the water that is otherwise lost. And we talked with several textile manufacturers that have found ways to preserve some of the water that is currently being used in the textile manufacturing in Lahore. And it looks like we might be able to achieve up to a savings of 54% of the water being used in the US apparel factory that is producing 1 million pairs of jeans a month.
We'll take one last comment. The Maghreb prayer is going to be coming soon. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you, Riz, for inviting me. It's kind of interesting. This group was all about community connections and outreach and engagement. We have Officer Julie here talking about community engagement to make sure that there are connections with the community that she serves and works with and whatnot. Actually, she just moved from Redmond to Bothell because there are more connections and infrastructure and ideas and strategies she has. And my wonderful friend, Adan, who's doing some magnificent work around Africans in the East Side, okay. Doing some outreach inside the school districts to help make sure that young students are aware of their culture and backgrounds and whatnot and can stand strong and be mentally equipped to deal with what they may face in the schools. And my friend Riz and I are part of a group called Democrats for Diversity and Inclusion, making sure that more people, more diverse people, wider range of people are in part of the party and making sure that all the voices are heard so that when decisions are made by elected officials that they hear from everyone, and we make sure that work and fight to make sure that that happens. So it's about community and connections.
Thank you, everyone. I know there were some really great ideas that we can lean into, and I am mindful of the fact that many of us are fasting, and our time is structured throughout the day with a call to prayer. So I would like to move to our esteemed keynote guest for this evening, Dr. Chaplain Joshua Salam. Quick story, I am from the East Coast. I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, so once I heard that Joshua was coming, I was very excited. Thank you, Joshua, for being here. Quick background about Joshua, he has strong roots in the American Muslim community. I was looking to see if the slides were up, and they're not, but we'll work on that. He has started attending National Muslim Youth Camps at the age of 12 and continued as a participant, counselor, and speaker for over 30 years. He entered the U.S. Air Force in 1995 and served as a police officer for 4 years. He was a key contributor in establishing Friday prayer service, or Jummah, on base for Muslim military members and went on to serve as an imam in North Carolina for several years. After the military, Joshua immersed himself in community activism. He managed the Civil Rights Department for the Council on American Islamic Relations, CARE, and also helped oversee a Baltimore Muslim community and neighborhood development project from 2004 to 2007. Before becoming chaplain at Duke in July 2018, Joshua spent more than 11 years working with youth and families at one of the largest Muslim communities in the United States. His diverse background gives him a unique perspective on many issues and helps him connect with students. He holds a master's degree in religious studies with a focus on Christian-Muslim relations from Harvard Seminary, as well as a doctorate in ministry. But my personal connection as to why I was so excited is he is also an artist. Can I share that, Josh? Is that okay? With the Native Deen, which is a group that still produces some fantastic music that really strengthens Muslim themes and really connecting to God. And I heard them when I was in my teens and my 20s and have introduced them to my kids, and I'm so excited for that particular reason that you're here, Josh, to meet you in person. Please a round of applause for Josh for joining us.
All right. In the name of God. And Assalamu alaikum, sister. Really, don't stress on the slides. If they come, they come. I'm good. Peace be unto you. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom alaikum. How's everybody doing tonight? Now, I'm up against the prayer, which for Muslims is tough. So I don't know if anybody was watching the Asr prayer, the third prayer of the day. I went in there and prayed with them. Muslims are not, okay. In general, we're not on time for many things. I don't want to stereotype us, except for prayer. And this community is a little extreme with that. They got a countdown on the wall that says prayers coming in 30, 29, 28. 27, 26, 25, 20. I was like 10, 9, 8, 5, 3, 2, 1. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. I was like, man, mashallah, they got the countdown. That don't happen for weddings. It don't happen when you invite people over for dinner. Anybody from Pakistan or India here? Yes. Who said yes loud? Okay. Very loud. What's the word for tomorrow in Urdu? No. In Urdu, the word for tomorrow. Huh? Kal. What's the word for yesterday? You see what I'm saying? So there's a lot of flexibility in certain cultures. Any African Americans in them? No, okay, we're gonna stop. All right. So, and then, I'm sorry, I know I don't have much time, but I had to get this off my chest. Then she said, we were very mindful that people are fasting. And I was like, were you? I don't know. Because she said, okay, now talk to the person on your right. And I'm from Cincinnati. Now talk to the person on your left. For fasting people, we know that our breath, it tends to change later in the day. It doesn't smell as good. There's a whole hadith about it, that Allah loves the scent of the fasting person, because we know that you don't, You don't like it, but God loves it because he knows what we're doing in our heart. And so I apologize for all of our guests who your eyebrows are disappearing, and you have teary eyes from talking to all these Muslims for so long. But yes, we were fasting, and we appreciate your patience. Oh man, the slides did come. Uh-oh. Okay, now I got to stay on track. Now you know what I'm talking about. So I have to stop. She said the prayer's coming at 7:18, and we know that it will be like 29, 28, 27. So I'm going to try to stop at 7:16. All right, so you guys, and leave some time for Q&A too, right? All right. I'll do it all. Pay attention. All right. So the interfaith community is so beautiful, and before I get to my first slide, I just want to say that I hope that we take the best from each other. Take the best from each other. So that community project that I did in Baltimore, Baltimore has one of the largest Jewish communities outside of Israel. In Baltimore, they are strong. And I don't know how they did it, but the neighborhood that I moved into used to be a Jewish neighborhood. And somehow they all picked up and walked over to a different part of Baltimore and landed. And I said, how do you do that? How do you take a whole neighborhood? Now, I'm not talking about a small neighborhood. I'm talking about, like, you got to drive a couple of miles this way, make a left, drive a couple of miles that way. It is a huge footprint. And they just all got up and moved. I said, we could learn some community development from that community. And that's what we were trying to do in Baltimore. We were studying what the Jewish community did and trying to replicate it in the African-American community. How do we get the drug dealers off the street? How do we get the liquor store off the street? How do we improve the curriculum in the school? How do we do these things? We were studying their community. Where my Christians at? Oh, come on now. They're like, woo, this is a masjid. Feel welcome, feel welcome. You gotta, I don't know if you're gonna be able to catch Christians with charity. Christians dominate charity around the world. You need to study the Christian community when it comes to charitable acts. When I was working for the Council on American Islamic Relations in D.C., we got a phone call from a Catholic charity in Maryland. And he said, do you have any parents who are, can be foster parents in the Muslim community? Because we have all these Muslim people coming that they need parents, and we can't find any Muslim parents in the registry. Who were all the children going to? Nice, healthy, wholesome Christian homes, because they were opening their doors to anybody who wanted to come. And the Muslims were not. And so we had to learn from the Christian community on that charity. Now, on the Muslim side, stay with me now. On the Muslim community, you might be able to, it's going to be hard to keep up with us when it comes to prayer. Yeah? So I saw some people like, yeah. I recently invited a friend. He wrote a book on camping and, you know, teaching people how to build shelters and everything. And I brought him down to Duke University. We took some students out into the woods to do this program where he teaches how to listen to bird calls. That's when you did this. I said, you got your deer. He taught us how to put our deer ears on. Listen to the water. And taught us how to make a fire with no matches. Just friction and I don't know how it happened, mashallah. But every so often I was like, we got to go pray. He said, okay. Then we come back, do another activity. We got to go pray. He was like, okay. How? And we had to get up way before him, early in the morning. Allahu Akbar. He's like, what are they doing? It's hard to keep up with Muslims and pray. And the fast, next time you invite the guests, let them know they can eat. I see some people, you know, I know you're being respectful, and I don't want to offend anybody. You're being respectful, alhamdulillah, thank you, because you know that we're not eating. But I see some of you licking your lips, you know, at this mango drink that's been sitting there for a while. So I don't think the Muslims would be offended if you just take a little bit, you know, it's okay. So go to the next slide. Oh, wait, whoa, how'd you, oh. Okay, bismillah. No, I didn't know they moved. They're good. So I am one person. You can't leave here thinking that you know anything, unfortunately. Yes, I have a doctorate of ministry. Yes, I'm born and raised in a Muslim community. I've been performing and traveling all across the world. I think I know a little bit, but I'm just one person. There's like 2 billion of them. And I can tell you they don't all agree. Me and my mother disagree on the Quran, different stories. Some of my best friends, we have arguments all the time about the Quran, about hadith. We don't all agree. So I'm going to tell you some of the things that you can say, Joshua Salam, he said this, but you can't necessarily say that Muslims believe what I'm going to be telling you today. But I want to ground it in tradition. And I'm glad that the young man read his the surah earlier. I'm going to do my signaling. Next slide, please. He read from a verse in Surah, the chapter 49, verse 13, and this is really grounded in our tradition. O mankind, okay? So not necessarily people who follow Prophet Muhammad. O mankind, this is talking to everybody. We have created you from male and female and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of God is the most righteous of you. And I had put it in black to connect it back to mankind, because this isn't talking about, in my opinion, this isn't talking about just the quote-unquote Muslim community. The most righteous of you is talking about mankind. In God's eyes, the most righteous of you is the ones who will be loved. So I was going to have a Q&A, but I have a slide here. If they go a couple of slides, it has some Muslims praying, and a woman is leading the prayer, and it's men and women lined up next to each other. okay? And I wanted to know, how did this picture make Muslims feel? Is it coming? Next slide. Keep going, keep going. You'll know it because you, boom. How does that make you feel? The Muslims in the audience. How does it make you feel? A little uncomfortable maybe, right? When you see that, you think, astaghfirullah. In Arabic or in English, that means loosely, you know, God have mercy on them. God forgive them. What are they doing? They're twisting the deen, twisting the faith. We need to be in touch with what that bubbles up inside of us, because that happens every time. When you get happy that there's an 8-foot crescent in Seattle, I guarantee you there's somebody else like, what city council person, King County, who put this thing in? There's people that are burning up when they see it. And I know that you burn up when you see things on television, things in books, things coming out. You say, oh, what is happening to the world? What is going on? We got to get active. We got to fight back. So just be in touch with what you're pleased to see and what other people may not be pleased to see. But also know that we as Muslims try to ground it in, we need to get to know one another. I can pace, I can storm, but at some point in time, I got to be like, can I talk to you about something? Maybe I'm the only one that's been to marriage counseling. Okay, but you know, you got to work on that. So we're going to breeze through some next slides, maybe like 10 seconds on each slide. You don't have to wait for my cool signals. Okay, what does Islam look like to you? When you see Farrakhan, do you think Islam, Muslims out there? Some people do. Do you want that to be the face of Islam, women in niqab? For some people it is. What does it conjure up in you? What does Islam look like to you? Let's see if they're counting down. I'm trying to talk for 10 seconds and make this smooth. Okay, we have some perhaps Mormons in the middle. Do all Christians consider Mormons Christian? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. You have somebody, could be Orthodox or Catholic. Are Catholics Christians? Don't let me start any fights over here. Okay. Right? What does it look like to you when you say, I'm a Christian? Who is a Christian? Who is not a Christian? What does it mean? Did they go to the next slide yet? No. Who's next? I think the Jewish community. Where my Jewish community at? Oh, they don't make any sound. Come on. Just give them. You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. The Hinduism, all right, you have different styles. You know, something I've learned about the Hindu, actually, I'll save that for the next slide. Never mind. Okay, we'll keep going. All right. So this is something else that I like to ground in our tradition. Stop arguing. Stop arguing. Start talking. Start getting to know one another. And if you have to argue, try to argue in beautiful language. It's hard to translate the Arabic exactly, but in the best of ways. Discuss, argue, debate in the best of ways. It's okay if you want to have a conversation about who God is, the origins of the universe, heaven and hell, does it exist, what happens to our soul? Okay, let's talk. We're probably going to disagree, but we have to learn how to talk with one another. Okay, now they're just moving. All right, slow down. So here, this really stood out to me. So I'm going to be quiet for a few seconds, and then I will tell you the part that, well, you can see the part, but just... We've all been given something, at least according to the Quran, at least according to what I understand of the Quran. You've all been given something. You've been given a way. Are you following it? Are you honoring it? Whatever you believe God has given you, are you respecting it? Are you trying to submit your own personal desires to what you believe God wants? And then he will judge us when we come back. And so on the next slide, that's why I said my takeaways. My takeaways? Yes. From all that I've just said thus far, this is what I take away, Joshua Salam. That God has created a pluralistic society on purpose. On purpose. So that we can get to know one another. It'd be interesting if you just look out. How many of you like to go out and look at nature? Now, my wife, she notices so much that I don't notice. We'll be driving down, and she'd be like, oh, my God, look at the trees. And I'm like, what? She goes, look at how the light is hitting the brown and the orange and the green and the colors. And I'm like, oh, yes, I didn't see that earlier. That was beautiful. But it's just the diversity in it, the colors in it. Each one of us here has a different color, has a different temperament. Some people you like to hang around. Some people you try to avoid. But guess what? The people you try to avoid, somebody else likes to be around them. Again, I'm the only one that's been to marriage counseling, right? Trust me, somebody else loves them. We are different. I take away that our differences create challenges. That pacing back and forth, that storming. Why are people like this? Why do people do this? Why do people think like this? Why don't they just think like me? Why doesn't everybody think like me? Anybody ever used to watch that show? Was it Star Trek? What was it called? The Borg. Resistance is futile. Yeah. You will. What does it say? You will assimilate. Resistance is futile. And they were all like, just do it. No, that would be boring. That would be very boring. Alhamdulillah. Praise God for our differences. I take away that God is going to judge us when we return, and that if we can figure out how to work together, oh man, the good that we could do. So if there's almost 2 billion Muslims in the world, there's over 2 billion Christians in the world, you have a growing number of the Jewish community, there's 1 billion people in India already, right? If people could lock in on a common denominator of what do we want to do that's good, and let's try to do it, it's a powerful thing if we can figure it out. Now, next slide. Oh, okay, all right. I feel your pain, sister. I feel your pain. But hey, we're gonna get through it. But they're on. Maybe they're really they're in tune with me. They're in tune with me. I used to have a different picture up here of the devil, but I thought that different people might be offended, so I just put a sad red face up there. So that's supposed to be the devil of sorts. And in the Quranic story of the devil, which we believe was with the angels, not an angel that fell, but the Muslim belief is that he was with the angels because he was so righteous that he earned his status to be with the angels. And he was there when God created Adam, and God commanded the angels to bow down to this new creation. And the angels don't have a choice. And the angels bow down. And just imagine, I don't know how many angels there were, let's say 1 million. They all bow down, and there's this one face like that. And God says, Iblis, why won't you bow down? He goes, you made me from smokeless fire. It's a different creation that Muslims believe in. You made me from smokeless fire. Look how amazing I am. I can go into outer space. I can contract and expand. I can go into the sea. I can do all this stuff. This little mud man has to walk around 1 foot at a time, and he's stinky, and he's all this stuff. Why would I bow down to that? I bow down to you. I'm not bowing down to this thing. I'm better than him. I'm better than him. And God says who? Based on what? You read the verse before, the one who is the most righteous of you. God judges that by how much you try to get to him, listen to him, obey him. And here you are disobeying me and telling me that you're better than him. Get out of here. Get out. That was the first theme that I pulled from the story. The second theme is the desire to be right. And Iblis was like, well, okay, hold on. All right, God, okay. Just give me some time, and I'll prove that I'm right. Just give me some time. Let me live for as long as they're going to live, and I will prove to you that most of these little creatures out here are ungrateful. I'll show you. So I pull those two themes from the story, so I have to be careful of those. I have to be careful of thinking that I'm better than somebody else. And I have to be mindful of trying to be right all the time. I don't know why marriage counseling keeps coming up, but it's a theme. It's a theme. I hope you all are part of marriage counseling. Any marriage counselors out there? No counselors in this room? Astaghfirullah. Okay. Note to President, get some more marriage counselors in the community. Okay. So we have to find the balance in trying to block out all the noise, because you're about to feed your stomach with food. That's how we feed our stomach. Do you know how you feed your soul? You feed your soul through your eyes and your ears, what you listen to, what you look at. So be mindful of what you look at on television or Instagram. Be mindful of the music that you listen to. Young people, you put those little ear pods in and you block out, you can't hear your parents. What? I'm sorry? Oh, okay. What are you listening to? Because it's affecting your soul. Okay? So be mindful of that. We have to protect what comes into our ears and our hearts without closing it. Yes, you should filter what is being fed to you without becoming closed-minded. Okay? That is the struggle. So, next slide is just, we're not going to talk about it. We don't have time. But some things that really get people going. I'm on a college campus, so we deal with this all the time, all the time. Politics. You already know. Who feels, let's just try it out. I won't say anything. Where all my, I'm independent. Where all my independent people at? Man. Okay, well, small island. Where my Republicans at? No, y'all know y'all out there. Come on now. Come on now. Thank you, thank you. Feel welcome. Where the Democrats at? Astaghfirullah. All right, we're the agents of chaos. You don't like any government? Ah, okay, all right, mashallah. The battle over gender and gender identity is something that people just don't agree on, different beliefs, and what becomes part of the curriculum and makes people pace back and forth. What's this world coming to? I can't believe it. What does it take to sit down and have a conversation about war? One man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. How do you justify killing innocent people? As an American and as a former, I used to serve in the military, I had to reflect on how we justified bombing 2 cities in Japan. And when you study it and you see what they said to the American people, you see it being repeated over and over and over again. We have to make sure that we're in touch with it so that we don't do that. Economics, religion, these are tough conversations that people like to avoid. And I hope that we can, now you with me. Now, mashallah. See, they're so good. May Allah bless the AV team. Let's give it up for the AV team. Mashallah. This actually happened while I was preparing for this talk. This was a moment for me. So I had to put this up there. That I am reframing and I'm rethinking what does it mean to be closed-minded. And that I shouldn't look at it as a negative thing, because perhaps that person is only trying to protect their soul, protect their heart, and you're trying to give them something that they're afraid of. But I believe that I'm so right, you're going to eat this whether you like it or not. Force-feeding people, and they just want to protect their heart and protect their mind because that is how they feed their soul. All right, the next few slides are just for you guys to read, and then I'm going to wrap up with 3 stories. Let's go to my Christian community. This is some teachings of Jesus from the Mount. You can't see the bottom of it? Okay. And I know the Muslims, when you read this, you're going to be like, oh, this sounds like straight out of our tradition. This one here, Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God, is what I tell my Christian community. Why? I don't have a problem if somebody talks about people of faith being children of God, daughters of God, sons of God, if you speak in the language of the Bible. So I have to let them know when I'm comfortable with it. And when I'm not, I don't get so uptight with it because I'm familiar with the language of Jesus in the Bible. Let's go to the Old Testament. I hope you had time to read that. Next slide. And then I end with my 3 stories. I'm watching that time. I'm watching that time, Brother Jamal. I'm watching it. Okay, Leviticus. Do not seek revenge or bear a grudge against anyone among your people, but love your neighbor as yourself. Verses like this from the Quran, from the New Testament, from the Old Testament, really ring in my ear when I walk out and realize that I still don't know my neighbor's situation. They live 50 feet across. And I know from my tradition that if my neighbor smells my food, I should know if they're hungry or not. That's what I've been taught. So how do I live into these things of really knowing my neighbor and loving them as I love myself? So I want to end with 3 stories of me personally, why I love and encourage people of faith to walk together as much as possible. Okay? First story, and this is on the next slide, is with the Muslim community. There's a verse in the Quran, and I want the Muslim community to finish these last 2 words. I'm going to tell you how familiar they are with this verse. Muslim community, I'm going to say this verse in English. Finish the last 2 words. God is closer to you than your own juggler. Oh, he said it loud too, mashallah. Juggler, man, that's how familiar they are with the Quran. However, I know I'm just one of 2 billion, but there's a doctor named Jawad Shah. He's a Pakistani doctor. He's a brain surgeon. And he studies Arabic, and he's a student of the Quran. And he's a student of old scholarship. And he argues that that's an incorrect translation. He argues that the Arabic talks, because it's hablul warid, right? Which means like a rope, rose rope or something like that, right? And he argues that in older Arabic, it was understood to be more of an artery instead of a vein because of the flow of blood in the Arabic language. And, you know, I forget, any doctors in the room? Where my doctors at? Another quiet bunch. All right. Doctors and Republicans in the same bunch? No, I'm just kidding. So he knows the smallest artery in the brain, the smallest artery in the body, is the basilar artery. And it sits in the back of your head. And it comes up like a rose. And it's the source of your consciousness. And every time you think of a word or think to move your hand, there's a neuron that's formed. And it sends out a neuron to whatever part of the body that you need. And he said he believes that God is saying, I'm closer to you than that. And he's wrote a paper on it, and he's submitting it to scholars around the world. And who knows? Maybe he's wrong, maybe he's right. But he's studying the Quran, and he's offering something. Mary, Mother Mary. I learned this from my Christian community. Muslims, we knew that, you know, if you don't know, Muslims believe that Mother Mary was blessed with Jesus without a father. There was no male involved. It was a miraculous birth. She was the Virgin Mary who gave birth to Jesus. We believe that. What I didn't know is that on top of that, she was engaged to Joseph. And that thickens the plot for me, because now, not only was it a miraculous birth, but her community's like, Mary never thought he would, astaghfirullah, Mary, I'm going to talk to your father. Like, even more pressure because she was engaged to somebody. I was like, oh my God. That made me reread the Quran with a different level of compassion for Mother Mary of all that cultural pressure on her. I was never reading it with that before. Jesus himself. Am I doing good? How much time I got? Okay. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Jesus himself. In the Quran, we're taught that God made it look like Jesus was crucified. That's what we're taught. I know the Christians believe that he was crucified. But at least we can agree on that. That now Muslims believe that if you were an eyewitness, you were walking away with, astaghfirullah, look what happened to Jesus. That's what we believe. It's only if you believe in the Quran that you believe something else. That it didn't happen, but God made it look like it happened. It was me studying with my Christian students in seminary that I learned about the concept of the risen Jesus. I didn't know about this before. That God made Jesus look like somebody else. They didn't recognize him. When Jesus was walking around after the crucifixion, people just walking past him. Hey, what's up, man? You know. That's that African-American look that African-Americans refer, because they said he had a hair like sheep's wool and skin like bronze. And a lot of people don't talk about that. Anyway, but they're like, hey, what's up, man? And then he started doing some miracles, and they said, Master, is that you? He said, yes. I didn't know, but now I reread my book and say, well, if God made Jesus look like somebody else, maybe he made somebody look like Jesus. That's just me reading the book. And that wouldn't have happened without my interaction with other faiths. And I'll end with because I don't have time, so we'll just end with my Hindu, any Hindu community members. I know it's a colonial term for your faith. I'm sorry, but they taught me something. I don't know if you believe that, but I was taught that Hinduism was put on us by something else that's not really what the faith as it was practiced in the land. But they believe that this is multiple cycles of creation, right? This isn't the first one. There's been multiple cycles of creation. And I said, that's what the Vedas say, huh? I didn't know that. And so when I came across a hadith that talked about the concept of Adam, that maybe this is not the first Adam. This is what the hadith was saying. For those who don't know, in the Quran, there's a story. The angels asked God when he was making Adam, they said, why are you going to make this guy? He's just going to cause corruption and problems on the earth. And all the scholars have been writing about that, saying, how did the angels know that we were going to be like this? And some of them say, was there a creation before? And so that connects with my Hindu sisters and brothers, and I say, oh, I need to look into that. What does that tradition say about the multiple cycles of creation? My point is there's so much out there that you can only know by studying together, by walking together, by being friends, by having dinner. And even if you disagree, you can say, well, that's interesting. I'm glad I got to know you. And I'll end with that. Thank you.
When it comes for time to prayer, Muslims don't joke. When it comes for time to open our fast, we are on time. Thank you so much, Dr. Chaplain Joshua Salam. We have a few minutes left for the call to prayer at Maghrib at 7:18, and I wanted to take a few minutes just to explain what's going to happen. First of all, you will note these printouts on your table. These printouts give an explanation of some interesting facts about each country that the flag is reflective of. On the back of each card, thank you to the IOC team that put this together very thoughtfully. On the back of the card is the QR code for the program, which we're almost done with. We have just 2 or 3 more things to do. The menu, and at the end, a feedback form, so we can do this again next year even better and make sure our tech is working. You will notice that there are servers that are coming around and serving soup. Table captains, I invite you to uncover the dates. Muslims that need to perform ablution, which is wudu, as you get ready for prayer, this is a good time to do so. So you may see people stepping away from your table as they get ready and perform ablution. This is small, and I apologize for that, but what's going to happen at 7:18 is that there will be a short prayer that Muslims will say under their breath or out loud, which is to thank God. And no, I'm forgetting which one it is because I'm getting ready for the fast. Bismillah. Thank you so much. Allahumma laka samtu wa bika amantu wa alayka tawakkaltu wa ala rizqika aftartu. I am not an Arabic speaker, but essentially it is thanking God for the rizq, the sustenance that's provided to us. As we open our fast. Every culture opens their fast differently. I'm Pakistani ethnically, and we open our fast with lots of samosas and pakoras and fried food. When we are in the mosque, we will open our fast with dates, with water, with some of the mango juice, and then you will notice that Muslims will go into the prayer hall. There are 3 cycles of prayer for the Maghrib, or the sunset prayer. You'll hear the Imam, who is the person who leads the prayer, reciting surahs or chapters from the Quran. Surah Fatiha is one of the surahs we start with, which is the opening surah, followed by a shorter surah or shorter chapter. They will go and bow down, all the Muslims, they will say Allahu Akbar, which means Allah is great, and bow down into ruku, which is where they're 90-degree angle. Then they'll stand back up, and again at Allahu Akbar, go back down into sujood, which is when Muslims will say under their breath, Subhana Rabbil A'la, Subhana Rabbil A'la, Subhana Rabbil A'la. God is the greatest. It's an interesting position to be because your head is at its lowest when you're prostrating. And that's when we say God is the greatest. There'll be 3 cycles altogether with a break in the middle of sitting for the second cycle. And then there will be a salam to the angels on the right and angels to the left. You are invited to observe the prayer. If you would like to join, please take off your shoes. If you would like to join and you're a woman, please ensure that your hair is covered. You are also invited to go ahead and start eating. Muslims will come and join you after they complete their prayer. We're almost at time. Bismillah.